You're watching the first Newshour Debate on Times Now Super Prime Time.
Well, the Talwars and all their supporters are blaming the media tonight. They are saying that the media is responsible for this particular verdict. In other words, they are trying to say that the court has gone by what the media is saying. I'd like to just say, before I introduce everyone on the Newshour tonight, is that with respect to those arguments, the media is not manufacturing questions. The media is not manufacturing facts. They are basing them on the basis of the CBI's report. The media has also looked into the role of the CBI and the UP police with as much of a fine tooth comb as the parents. So how is the media being unfairly targeted? Avirook Sen is a journalist and author. He's writing a book on this. He has put out an entire serialized column on this, and I think very few people besides Avirook have followed this case as closely, as regularly as he has. So Avirook Sen, welcome. We have Shobha there with us here in the studio. We have Shree Paradkar, who is aunt of Aarushi. She's joining us from Toronto. Thank you very much, Ms. Paradkar, for joining us. Aryama Sundaram, one of India's top legal eagles, senior advocate K Anand, and Saba Naqvi, who supports the media in this case. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. Let's get Avirook Sen first, who holds the media. Let me not put words in Avirook's mouth. Avirook, who do you blame for the verdict?
Who do I blame for the verdict?
Yeah.
There is no one to blame for the verdict. It was a judge's prerogative.
You support the verdict?
Any trial judge has a prerogative to rule which way he wants. There's no one to blame.
What is your view on the verdict?
Credit, in fact.
What is your view on the verdict, Avirook?
My view on the verdict is that it is a fit case for a challenge, precisely because the body of evidence before this trial court is particularly shoddy and sometimes malign.
And do you believe that...
I will expand on that a little bit.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Expand
on that a little bit. It is this. Yeah. There are two things about this which are critical in this case. The first is the fact that the whole thing has been built up on 4 people in a flat, 2 die, 2 live. So the 2 that lived must have killed the Talwars, must have killed Hemraj and Aarushi. Well, that's fine up to the point when you can prove beyond reasonable doubt that there was nobody else in this flat and there was no possibility of anybody entering that flat. Unfortunately, the CBI has not been able to do that through the course of this trial. That's over a year and a half, or even before, through its investigation. The second point, Arnab, is this. The second point is, what is the motive behind this murder? The motive is an enraged father seeing, apparently or allegedly, his daughter and servant in coitus. Now, the first thing you need to prove in order for this to be established, for this motive to be established, is the fact that Hemraj and Aarushi were in the same room. Unfortunately, there's zilch evidence on the table at the cold altar of evidence, I'd say, in the trial court, which suggests this. There is no sperm, there is no blood, there is no DNA, there is no hair, there is nothing. There is nothing except a story.
Is it as simple as that, Avirook? Is it as simple as that? Are you looking only at, with respect, are you looking only at one side of it, Avirook?
Things are simpler than you think.
No, I know, but I'm
looking at both sides of it because I've seen the evidence. I've seen the evidence, Arnab.
Well,
I see the evidence every day. Well, I've seen it for the last year and a half.
I am sure.
Can the CBI, has the CBI produced?
I am sure you have.
Can the CBI produce a single piece of hard evidence to say that Hemraj was in Aarushi's room? In fact, there is evidence to the contrary. There is evidence which shows that Hemraj's blood was found on Krishna's pillow cover several houses away. Now, the CBI said very clearly in its closure report that that Hemraj's blood was not found in Aarushi's room, which is why we need to close this case. However, what it did is, it suppressed the fact that there was a CBFD report, there was a forensic report.
So my question is...
Which said
since
Hemraj's blood was found on one of the other suspects.
Avirook, one second. Avirook, let's be very clear about it, right? The simple question is this. All those people, and I'm not mentioning you, all those people who have severe problems, and who now say things such as the media collaborated. Rebecca John, defense lawyer, says media collaborated with the CBI as a B team rather than as watchdogs. They opted for sensation. Right? Mukul Rohatgi says, no, one second, let's put this question to Mukul Rohatgi says, media impacts the court of justice. KTS Tulsi will be on the program today. He says this. Dipankar Gupta says there's been public enthusiasm of the wrong kind. I would like to ask all of them today, all of them, where were they? Where were all these people when in July 2008, when it was announced there was no evidence against Dr. Rajesh Talwar, and at that point of time, when reconstructing the scene of the crime, Arun Kumar of the CBI said Rajkumar, Krishna and Talwar's domestic help, Hemraj consumed alcohol, and the whole theory at that point of time was placed on the domestic servants. None of those people, were they there at that point of time? Saba, let's put that question here. A lot of people who are complaining today of this being the result of a media trial, they were obviously not complaining at all in 2008, were they, Saba?
Allow me.
So, Arnab, first of all, I want to say that anywhere if a child lands up dead, if such a young girl lands up dead, and it's happening from a particular background, it is going to be a story. The media is not going to stop. It is a story anywhere in the world, down history. This kind of a thing will be a story. Having said that, there is also a section in the media which gave the Talwar version of event very persuasively. So it's not white or black. If a girl is dead, naturally there's going to be public curiosity. Media is going to go out there and put out the story. People want to know. So and the thing about media trial, yes, the media should not go on a witch hunt and media should not do this and that. That's all very well. But ultimately we are talking about evidence which has to stand up in a court of law.
Of course.
Frankly, I mean, on a slightly lighter note, the media story stays for a few days and then it moves on, and then it may come back to that story.
Well,
what do you expect the media to do in this case?
Precisely. I have. There's a great sense of discomfort that one has when the verdict doesn't go your way, or when one section of the media doesn't say what you want them to do, when it asks questions on why the domestic servants were being blamed, that one section of society in this case, and I'm not just talking about the family, get horribly upset. To them, I would like to ask a simple question, and that goes to Shree Paradkar, who's joining us from Toronto. Do you also blame the media, and if so, why? Because eventually it's a judge's decision. Ms. Paradkar, it's not the media's decision.
Yeah, I'm not calling it a media's decision, but and I don't blame the media for the verdict either. So I'm not quite sure where that came from. But I will say that
that's coming from the Talwars and their lawyers.
Okay, I don't have very good audio, so I'm a little bit out of context here. But I heard one of your earlier guests say, what is it that the media should do and certain sections of the society? So I'm not sure what the subtext is here. Are we talking about Punjabi and a girl being killed? Because that's the subtext that I'm receiving.
No, that's not the fact. The question was very simple. To put it very brutally, honestly to you, that in July 2008, when the entire blame was put on the domestic servants, that section of society, which obviously the reference here is to to certain sections of society in urban centers, which feel sympathy and feel that these kind of crimes don't happen.
Okay.
In certain populations or demographics, that section of society, Shobha, I don't think was out there fighting for the domestic servants when this case was decided against them in July 2008.
Arnab,
I just get Shobha there to respond to you, and then you can come back. Yes.
It happens to be one of those cases where you cannot remain emotionally neutral. Yeah. And now we have a legal issue, we have a social issue, and we have a legal and the emotional issue. In this case, it was thought to be such a heinous crime, no matter who committed it. A young 14-year-old girl was found brutally murdered.
Yep.
And there were the parents in the next room. Because of the noise of the air conditioners, they said they didn't hear a thing.
Yep.
There was evidence which suggested and still suggests, and it's now legally concluded, that there was no forced entry into that apartment.
Yep.
There was enough evidence, circumstantial or otherwise, built around it to suggest that this girl was, in fact, a victim perhaps of her own parents' brutality. Now this was a popular conception where no one can establish it still. But so far we have no motive, we have no weapons. It's true that the police completely goofed up. It's true the CBI, which has a very poor record in India in any case, has made mistake upon mistake upon mistake. Now the Talwars have the option and they will move the court, they will go an appeal. But the case being what it is, you cannot remove the emotive from the legal and the social. Well, and there was an uproar, and I was at the receiving end of enormous hate mail when I stuck my neck out and I did say it looks as if, it appears as if the parents
Why do you think you were? Why do you think you were?
Now, I am not a detective, I'm not a cop, I'm not a lawyer. This was a comment in my personal capacity in my column, which is on gender, which is about women's issues, and I said, from all evidence available at that time and from the way the Talwars presented themselves in the public domain, on television, through their various statements in the press, it appeared that they were completely cold and remorseless the very next morning. And everything suggested that it just seemed incredible that any mother, any father, if they found their daughter brutally murdered in her own bed, would be emotionally distraught. You see, unless they are exceptional people who have such control over their emotions.
The uncomfortable question which must be answered tonight, Aryama Sundaram, is simply this. You know, when Krishna, who is the helper in Rajesh Talwar's clinic, when he broke down in court, when the agency produced him for the extension of his remand, he said that they kept beating me. They kept beating me and did not allow me to sleep night after night, and they tortured me. I am innocent. I was asleep at home at the time of the murders. Nobody fought for him.
Exactly.
There was, of course, a certain class bias, Aryama Sundaram. Nobody fought for him. The matter was more or less settled. The discomfort was when the CBI closure report came up. Is that right or wrong, Aryama Sundaram?
Arnab, I'm going to say something which you and much of the media may not agree with. It is no doubt a fact that people did not fight for Krishna when that happened.
Yes.
No doubt a fact. It is no doubt equally a fact that people were equally quick to blame the Talwars when the entire issue of whether it was the Talwars who were involved came up. The fact is, the public is very, very, very reactive to what the media says.
But the court...
And the fact also is that, please let me finish, because I am going to answer your specific question about the court and the media, and I intend to do so because much has been said about it. But what I do want to point out is, let's understand the present day scenario. The days are gone when media reporting was stating facts exactly and saying in almost a boring way and just setting it out as a recital of facts. Today's media reportage, probably because the times have changed, everything else has changed, what the public is expecting to see from the media is different, is far more exciting, it's far more interesting, and it is also giving various opinions, whether directly or under the surface. Now these opinions do come out from the media. The audiovisual media also is dramatic in its own way. So whether
my question to does that same influence work on the agencies, Mr. Sundaram? Because when Arun Kumar came out and gave a clean sheet to the
answer is,
when Arun Kumar, allow me to complete, when Arun Kumar came out and gave a clean sheet within weeks to the Talwars, contradicting what the UP police had earlier said, how come the same influence does not apply on Arun Kumar?
Well, the same influence, I must say, has applied in a very large way in the CBI's subsequent action or inaction, which, as Shobha just said, it's more likely the latter than the former. But what I am trying to point out is, I am not blaming the media. It's the Times. It's the Times. The public wants to have an opinion. And
This
the
is,
public wants the media to give them the facts
I
in a
completely-
way that they can actually make an opinion.
No, that's-
Now, when the public has an opinion,
I don't think,
I do not feel we should extend it to thinking that the media is going to affect a judgment.
Sir, the CBI,
According to me,
sir, I
a
think
judgment cannot be
Mr.
affected
Sundaram,
by the media.
Mr. Sundaram, the CBI gave two completely different versions. The media questioned this massive discrepancy. It should have. If the media had not questioned it, you and everyone else, including the Talwars, would have said the media is not doing its job. The media examined the role of the CBI as it does in every other case.